Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome in. It is Longshore and McKnight on this Thursday live for the Montgomery Regional Airport, getting better the more you use it. Thought we'd show everybody a different view today here, Barry.
Yeah, the American flag in the background, the escalator right behind us, the stairway right behind us, taking us to the security, taking us to TSA, and that's all it is. Over this way, parking lot. Come in. Over there are the where you check in, go upstairs. That's
easy.
it. This is it. It's awesome.
So convenient. You're right about that. A few short steps away from the parking area. Head over here to the ticket area. Head up the escalators. Go through TSA, and you are in the boarding gate area where you can enjoy some great coffee and donuts at the Dunkin' Donut location through TSA and get ready to board your flight, which is going on as we speak. Just heard a couple of the announcements. They call it the morning push. So all the morning flights leaving out to Atlanta, Charlotte, DFW are about to depart. So a lot of activity here already at MGM, and it will be throughout the day and, every day here at MGM. We're going to tell you a little bit about it all day long. Brittany Jones-Dabney of the airport's going to join us because, Barry, there's something coming up that she wants to talk about.
Yeah.
Not only the convenience and low fares here out of MGM, but what every flyer is going to have on their driver's license in a couple of weeks.
Yes, and this has been a thing for a good little while now. You've known it, or if you haven't been paying attention. They have been trying to push this out for a good while. Your Star ID. That's going to have to be a requirement pretty much to travel, for air travel, but for a lot of other stuff as well. And the deadline is coming up within a couple of weeks. We're going to talk with her about that. We love the convenience of the Montgomery Regional Airport. We love the service all of the different destinations you can get to. But there are a couple of things that are standards, that are baseline requirements.
Mm-hmm.
If you come in a couple of weeks and they ask you for your Star ID upstairs or over here when you're getting your ticket and you don't have it, they can't help you. You can come up with the best excuses in the world. And you're talking to two guys who have used excuses as much as they can to get past things, to get through society. They ain't helping you. They ain't helping you. They can't help you. There's nothing they can do about it. Well, see, I was going to get one, but the lines were too long. Or, I had to go to a wedding that weekend. Or no. Get it done. You will... It doesn't take that long. You got to have a few pieces of documentation. Documentation, which didn't used to be a thing. Evidently it is anymore. You got to have that, because if they don't, you can come up with the best excuses in the world. You can show up with crutches and a cast on your leg, or, a slow great grandmother by your side and all that. There's nothing they can do. We'll tell you more about that a little bit later on.
We certainly will. And I don't know if I should take any joy or get any satisfaction out of this. It kind of seems kind of slanted, if you will. But these people, there's a few still out there that think they've got to go to Atlanta and think they're going to save some time and some money and it's going to be more convenient. And then the horror stories I hear about, I missed my flight because I got caught in a construction zone on 85, or I had to park 4 miles away from the terminal and the shuttle bus didn't come get me. And when they did, they didn't help me with my luggage. And then they dropped me off curbside there, and there were 10,000 other people trying to check in. And then when I finally got through with that, I had to go through the TSA security line, which was like longer than the line to go see It's a Small World at Disney World. It took forever to get through there. I could go on and on and on with all the headaches you endure by trying to get over doing it that way. Do it this way at the Montgomery Regional Airport, where your trip will start out stress-free, convenient, and, of course, economical. So that's what it's all about.
Yep.
And I can point this out too, Barry. This is just a quick travel note for you. As I was setting up this morning, I noticed a couple. I saw them come into the curbside. The lady got out with the bags. The gentleman parked the car. And the first thing I thought of was, they're running a little late. folks, you got to get here on time. Look, they're not going to wait on you. I will tell you that. And they want you to be in the check-in at least a minimum of 30 minutes prior to your departure. We recommend more time than that, and you'll have time to relax at your gate before you board your flight. And I looked at them going up the escalator there with some very large pieces of luggage that will not fit in the overhead. And I thought, y'all aren't going to make it. And we hate that, but you've got to think a little bit about how soon do I need to be at the airport?
Right.
Make sure you're here in time.
So when we're talking about convenience at the Montgomery Regional Airport, and it is extraordinarily convenient, part of the convenience that they offer is based upon the fact that when you're in and you're ready and you've shown up on time and you've passed through security and you're sitting in the plane, they're not going to wait past time for people who aren't thinking, maybe a little bit, not thinking ahead, but not thinking about the other people around. Well, this is not fair. If I don't make this flight, I miss my connecting flight. Well, yeah, if we do let you in, then it's going to make all those people who are on time and did things the right way, and they have maybe a connecting flight, or maybe they have a destination they've got to get to, and it's going to make them late. So, you know, there's
we're rule followers, Barry.
That's exactly right. Always been known for that.
Yes. Gotta follow the rules. All right. Here's the vibe I'm picking up on. And I can't say I'm surprised, but as we're getting, today's the NFL draft, starts tonight up in Green Bay.
Yep.
And I started picking up about 48 hours ago some articles, some social media posts, things of that nature that just, I don't know, weren't overly flattering about former Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, about how some of his former teammates felt about him, what some draft analysts are saying about him. Even heard one guy last night talk about how great of an athlete he is. He's a great runner, but he can't throw the football. I thought, oh, wait a minute, that sounds like somebody I know.
What
is it? Just me, or all the Jalen naysayers finally coming out of the woodwork and thinking, this guy might not even get drafted? I heard one guy say, this guy might not even get drafted.
What was it we saw? We read this yesterday, and I like Jalen Milroe. I think he's wonderful. I think he's a good quarterback. All that stuff. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback necessarily, but what a great guy, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a Jalen Milroe bashing seminar, but we read this yesterday from one NFL scout, unnamed NFL scout, who said that the word around the league is that they had heard, and I'm not, huge on gossip, they had heard that if Milroe had come back this year to Alabama, that all the skill position players were going to transfer out. And the same guy was saying that they're trying to look at film of some of the Alabama skill position guys, receivers, backs, tight ends. And they're looking at film and everything. And, the guy gets good separation. The guy makes good cuts, runs good patterns. Look at this play. And then all of a sudden the ball's right over. And they're thinking, who's the quarterback? Who's throwing that? And they're like, oh, it's Milroe, and the players run the perfect route. They get a push on the DB, get some separation on time, and the ball's at their feet or something like that.
I thought it was interesting really how one of the NFL execs described that. We can't repeat what he said. How he described it. So, and man, I heard some rumblings about that as well, just some rumblings months ago, and I can believe that. Now, I don't think number 2 was going to transfer because that's the only guy he threw it to. All the other skill position players going, hey, man, I'm out here too. So I can certainly buy into that. I can see that being a possibility. But bottom line, that's over and done with.
Yeah.
He's moved on. There's a new regime. Ty Simpson looks to be the guy. Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, whomever. They got a triple play of quarterbacks there, and Milroe's no longer in the picture. Not only do I think it was poor performance at times, Barry, out of Jalen Milroe, but I think it was attitude. I think it was character. And I've talked about this so much. I think there was a loyalty issue. Milroe stuck around. Saban left. He stayed, kind of automatically, immediately, kind of gravitated toward DeBoer. Hey, buddy, all that kind of stuff. DeBoer probably should have known better, seen that before. But I guess Milroe was the best option that he had. It reminds me there again of the first year under Nick Saban. There was a guy named DJ Hall that was somewhat of a distraction, but he was on the field. Maybe he was the best Saban had. Maybe he was just a good athlete and he had to deal with all the other shenanigans. But there again, I think once you get past that first year, kind of put your stamp on the program, kind of rinse out some of the players that might not have bought in. Now really the Kalen DeBoer era starts in my mind in Tallahassee in late August.
So it really didn't start last year because they didn't play in the college football playoff and they didn't win a conference championship and they lost to Tennessee last year. That wasn't really it. I mean, it doesn't start. Now, if there's some success this year, if they had success last year, if there's some big success, if they're playing for an SEC championship or in a college football playoff. So what we're saying is, all right, now it begins. See, last year didn't count. Last year was a mulligan. This year's when it really starts.
And I didn't think about all that other stuff, but now that you bring it up, I think that's good to add that on. I mean, who thinks of Saban's first year? I mean, I think, people go, DJ Hall, who's that guy? Hey, you old guys know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
People go, Saban's first year? Let's see.
That was awesome.
Was that the La Mo year?
That was the Louisiana month. That was the 7-6 year.
So people aren't thinking about that.
Oh, I know a lot of people who think about that more than any other Saban year.
But they do know that second year kind of started the domination, if you will. Now, I'm going to go that far. That Kalen DeBoer can match that. But I just get the sense that there again, kind of a rinse cycle to get some of the players that maybe had not bought in completely.
I will not stand for any assassination of Jalen Milroe's character. He was
DJ Hall.
Well, DJ Hall, yeah. Jalen Milroe, Campbell Award winner as college football's outstanding student athlete.
Who was it named after?
William S. Campbell.
William S. Campbell.
Yeah, Billy Campbell. Billy Campbell. Yeah, I think he was a friend of Ned Litkenhouse, to be honest with you.
I think maybe so.
But yeah, I mean, it's the nation's, it's the academic Heisman Trophy, and Jalen Milroe won it. Jalen Milroe always around town, volunteering at events, mentoring, all that. If there was a character issue, if there was that within the program, it didn't come from Milroe. But there is a balance. If you're a coach, you like Jalen Milroe. He's always positive. I think he's got some leadership characteristics. He's a hard worker. There's no question about his work ethic.
Did you watch that Oklahoma game?
Well, that was not, but I'm saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he's eligible for sainthood or it's going to be Pope or anything.
Yeah.
But I do think that you get that and you want to root for him and you're thinking, golly, it would be great if he was a great quarterback and all that. And then you look on the field and the production's not there.
Yeah,
and you're thinking, golly, he's such a good kid. I'd hate to break his heart and tell him, hey, we got to go with Ty Simpson and all that kind of stuff. But there is that. I mean, that's the thing. You say that, golly, can we ride with this guy? The players seem to like him. He's a good guy, goodness sakes, but man, he can't play.
I saw a stat, Barry, and this kind of surprised me. Jalen Milroe's interception to touchdown ratio last season at Alabama. I mean, he threw a lot of interceptions. And I know that Vandy game, that Oklahoma game, the Tennessee game, maybe that kind of skewed it a little bit, but he threw a lot of picks last year. NFL teams don't like interceptions.
No.
They do not like picks.
No.
Look, I'm not here to rail on Jalen Milroe. I've just had an opinion about this young man. Really, before the 2024 season, saw a little bit of it the 2023 season and did not see a lot of improvement the 2024, which is something that I really harped on this time last year. Got to see some improvement.
Right.
People are telling, what do you mean? We're talking about impressive. I just don't think he's the complete package. Great athlete. I'm not sure he is a great quarterback. Still stand by that. We'll see tonight, maybe tomorrow night, maybe Saturday, if he gets drafted in the NFL.
All right. Now, that's our Jalen Milroe segment. We're going to talk about the NFL draft a good little bit.
And I got a
plenty of
doozy
other
for you
stuff
on that about the draft. I've been waiting to drop this one on you, but go ahead.
All right. So we're not here to bash Jalen Milroe. Are we here to bash?
No.
Okay. No, we're not here to bash Jalen Milroe. We will move on to other things. Okay. It is great to hear Kirk Lehman back. We had missed him for a little while. He says, you Bama fans think Alabama's going to have 10 wins every year. You must think there's swampland in Arizona. In today's world of college football, not going to happen. This is in response to Bob from Pike Road. So,
Kirk, I see what you're saying, but Bama fans do think that way.
Yeah.
They definitely think that way. Last year was not what they wanted. And is there some pressure on Kalen DeBoer? Yeah, there is, because there's a lot of talk about this team and how talented they are. They got the depth. They rebuilt in some areas. If they don't make the playoff, Barry, they're going to be fans that are going to be extremely disappointed. They don't like seeing other schools in their conference in the playoff and they're not in it, particularly Texas and Tennessee. They hate Tennessee made the playoff, and they don't like that this new kid on the block just eased on in the first year. So they do not like that one bit.
As we go to break, just a conjecture. I'm not prophesying this. But is there another school that if they were to make the college football playoff and Alabama not, that would bring absolute pitchforks and torches to the parapets of the Malamore building? That would be absolutely unacceptable. Okay, Texas makes it. Yeah. We get it. Tennessee, I don't know, maybe Joey Aguilar's the guy and all that. But if Auburn makes the playoff, if Auburn makes the playoff and Alabama doesn't, does Kalen DeBoer even?
Seems so unrealistic.
Well, I know.
I know. I didn't even think about that.
There's just there would be no more grace period. There will be no more John Longshore. Okay, the first year didn't really count.
Yeah. Okay. Can I answer that when we get back?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're going to take a break.
I got to think about this one.
Yeah, John, absolutely. Wait a minute. Auburn make the play? Well, we are live at the Montgomery Regional Airport. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Get some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody. About 21 minutes past the hour here on this Thursday. Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover at the bottom of this hour. Rodney Orr, the TiderInsider, at the top of hour number 2, brought to you exclusively by the Destin Connection Seafood Market. The freshest seafood direct from the Gulf arrives daily at the Destin Connection, 3750 Norman Bridge Road. Okay, so you had to think about this. You kind of caught me off guard with that.
I'm just, like I said, it's not a prophecy.
Yeah.
This is not Barry saying Auburn's going to make the college football playoff this year and Alabama's not. But John was talking about dissatisfaction among the Crimson Tide fan base and why they would be dissatisfied and what it would come down to. And it would come down to Alabama not making the playoff. And John said even more. Schools like Texas and Tennessee in the league making the playoff. Georgia, they're making it. Alabama's not. That's weird. And I said, wonder what it would be like around here if this year, DeBoer's second year, Alabama doesn't make the playoff and Auburn does.
Well,
would there be even that much bigger of a
there was a time, Barry,
dissatisfaction level
when Auburn had won some Heisman trophies, and they kind of threw that in Alabama's face.
Yeah.
And, Alabama's reaction was, well, it's a team game.
Yeah.
It's all about the
We're
national
not about
championship.
Heisman trophies.
And then, they heard, well, hey, we've been to the Final Four, and you haven't. And that didn't go well. They didn't like that either.
No, I get
they
it.
lived with it. But you're at another level with the college football playoff. And I think that would really chap them. And if Hugh Freeze somehow, some way, under Jackson Arnold, got Auburn into the 12-team playoff and Alabama did not, that would be bad news for Kalen DeBoer. Now, do I think Greg Byrne would dismiss Kalen DeBoer if something like that happened? No, I do not.
No.
Unless it was a lot of other circumstances that were involved with it that made that happen. But no, I do not. But the fan base would not be happy. They would be very unhappy if they had to endure all the media coverage that Auburn would be getting and going to a 12-team playoff as Alabama was prepping to go to the
what bowl did they go to last year? Quick.
tell you.
Yeah,
Couldn't
okay.
even tell you.
Just use that as an example.
Yeah.
Whatever that bowl game was last year that they lost to Michigan in.
Don't even remember.
Yeah.
So,
it was like that way in 2013, wasn't it? It was like that way in 2010.
Yeah, 2010 was tough.
Auburn won the national championship. 2013, when Auburn played in the national championship game, there's Alabama fans. They were like that kid in the living room, that little boy in the living room, having had practice his violin lessons and everything.
Horrible.
And he's looking at the picture window, and there's Johnny Longshore out there playing in the street with his buddies, and there's Barry McKnight over there, and Longshore says, go deep, and then doesn't throw it, and everybody's laughing at Barry and all that kind of stuff. And he's sitting there with his violin thinking, I want to be out there. That would be Bama fan, right?
I think it would.
Wow.
So I think there is some pressure that Alabama's schedule, pretty difficult, particularly starting out on the road in Tallahassee. Got Wisconsin coming into town before they go to Athens. I think that, going to Athens undefeated is going to be important for this Alabama team. I don't think they need to go into Athens with a loss already on the schedule. So I think that is something that's a little pressure on Ty Simpson.
Sure.
He's got to make sure this team is going to be able to go into Athens undefeated because, right now Alabama's an underdog. I think they will stay an underdog when they play over in Athens later this year.
Well, Simpson is a big key to this.
Sure.
I wonder what he's thinking because he was there last year. That's his biggest strength, I guess, is that he was there last year and knows kind of what's going on. He's been waiting his turn and everything. But he's also seeing some of these Bama fans just dog cussing last year's quarterback. Played hard, good teammate, Campbell Award winner, and Getty, it was not named after Earl Campbell.
Or Glenn.
Or Marion Campbell.
For the Falcons.
And then he's seeing on some of these message boards and draft things that, thank gosh, Jalen Milroe's gone. Man, that guy was a scrub. I never thought he was a quarterback and all that. And he's thinking, I'm stepping into that. Gosh, I hope I'm good because they're going to turn on me if I'm not.
So with the game in Norman, the game Alabama loses to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma wasn't a good football team last year.
They were not.
So was that an attitude issue? Was it an attitude issue? Not by just Jalen Milroe, but the whole team. Did they go into Norman? Because I do understand that practice was not as good as it had been to prior games.
Right.
There had been a little confrontation between a player or two and some of the coaches. That kind of stuff can't go on anymore. There again, kind of the rinse cycle, as I've talked about.
Yeah.
You got to rinse that kind of stuff out of there if you're going to be a championship team, and have NFL general managers in interviewing and seeing Jalen Milroe maybe picked up on that a little bit. Was hearing a discussion about a wide receiver at Arizona State that completely turned off just about every NFL team going through the interview process because they couldn't tell him anything. He knew it all. And his attitude turned them off completely. And I know there's players out there that can get away with that if they're just so good that they can overlook those type things. But this young man is not going to have that luxury, and he might not even get drafted. So say some of these draft pundits out there that examine and dissect that kind of thing. Barry, if I was going through the draft, I don't care how good I was.
Right.
Man, I would to me, acing the interview is easy. Just be, civil, be polite, be honest. Don't be a showboater like you're interviewing for a job. I mean, don't go in there and tell them everything. You need to listen a little bit and make sure you've got good, concise answers and not be cocky and arrogant. And I think there's some that go, yeah, man, I'm gonna be your guy, and I'm gonna take you to the Super Bowl. That ain't what they want to hear.
Listen to John on this. Listen to John advise you not to be cocky and arrogant.
Yep.
Listen to John tell you, look, ace the interview. Ace the interview. The interview is everything. I don't know about that. There have been some guys who have scored really low on the interview, but ended up being Jamarcus Russell #1 draft picks and stuff like that.
There's guys that athletic ability is it don't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go in there with a joint in your hand and, hey, man, they don't care as long as you can produce and win. This individual, I don't think was at that level. He thought he was.
Yeah.
But he's not. And you add on your just being a little cocky and arrogant. That's not going to help you out your cause one bit. And I'm not saying that about Milroe. I don't know. I've talked enough about it. Tonight's the night. We'll see where he ends up. We'll see where he goes. He is in Green Bay. He was invited. Is that a good thing that he was invited? I mean, Barry, we've seen it. These networks are to go, well, let's take a look at the green room. Man, look at that. A lot of activity over there. Ooh, over there in the corner, still Jalen Milroe yet to be picked. Here we are late in the second round. Is that really what you want to go through?
No.
I mean, that's kind of like being at the dance. You're just waiting, for that guy to come over. If, that girl's going, God, I hope he comes and asks me. And she's sitting over there all night.
Yeah.
That ain't what you want.
And he gets up And he walks over and she sits up straight in her chair and everything. Big smile,
Yeah.
big smile. And he smiles back at her and she's like, oh boy, here it is, here it is. But she's sitting right next to the concession stand,
Yeah, it's not good.
over there by the punch bowl.
That
And
ain't
he
good.
goes and gets himself a bowl of punch and a cup of punch and goes.
That's not good.
Ooh.
It is not good. So we'll see how it all plays
Yeah.
out tonight. It is the NFL draft. It is from Green Bay, and I'm kind of interested to see where everybody falls tonight. I really am. All right, when we get back, Barry,
Yes.
we're going to check in with our man Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, get an update of what's going on with the Auburn Tigers. A lot happening there, and Jason's going to tell us all about it.
It's coming up at the Montgomery Regional Airport in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com. Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust.
Can't hear him.
There we go. Okay, welcome back in, everybody. Glad you are with us here on this Thursday morning. We're at the Montgomery Regional Airport, getting better the more you use it. And Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, joining us here this morning. Jason, how are you today? Appreciate you joining us here this morning.
Yeah, I'm good, guys. How about y'all?
We're doing great. Of course, we've been talking a lot about the NFL draft, which is tonight. Looking at some of the guys at Auburn that could be there. Looks like Jarquez Hunter could be the first one off the board for the Tigers tonight.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll be tonight. It probably won't be till Saturday, probably for those guys, with just being the first round. But I think you're looking Jarquez Hunter, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Eugene Asante, probably the guys there. That's probably going to be it. I mean, you look at Auburn and the most talented, we talked about it last year, the most talented players on this roster were the guys that were freshmen and sophomores. And so I think you're still pointing towards 2026 draft to see Auburn have more of a presence in the early rounds moving forward. So, yeah, I think for those guys is kind of wait and see and see what happens on Saturday for probably those trio of Auburn guys.
You mentioned something on one of your earlier pieces about how the draft, I guess, helps to illustrate just the dearth of offensive linemen. You mentioned something about Ben Grubbs and some of those guys from back then. You can illustrate all you want to about the lack of high quality offensive linemen, but that NFL draft is probably as appropriate an illustration as anything, Jason.
It is. Yeah, I went back and did it for Monday. I went back and looked, and you had Marcus McNeil drafted in the second round in 2006. Ben Grubbs, the first round in 2007. This will be the 18th draft since Ben Grubbs. And Auburn has 8 offensive linemen that have been drafted in 18 years total. I mean, that's not first rounders. That's 8 total. And you look and go, you don't have to look at anything else. People have talked about, offensive issues, and you point to quarterback and you point to this or that, play calling. You can point to offensive line and go, that's where it falls right there. And I think this is the last year that'll happen. I think there's going to be some guys drafted off this year's team Jeremiah Wright's a guy that's back, and Dylan Wade. Then you add in Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy. I think that's going to end, and I think you'll have multiple guys drafted off this offensive line. But no, it's you look and go, you want to know the issues, the root of it. It's the lack of those guys, and it's not just development. It is a lack of recruiting those, and we've talked about it for years. And it's the funny thing is, I tell folks at the same time, like, look, Alabama and Georgia developed guys, but they also miss on as many guys as Auburn and Florida and Tennessee do. They just recruit more of them. And that's it. That's what you have to do. And so the more of those guys you have, the more likely you are to hit on one, because it's an inexact science on the offensive line. But yeah, no, that's the one thing you look at, and consistently here for almost the last 20 years, the lack of consistent offensive line recruiting has been as much of an issue at Auburn as anything.
Jason, we've talked about this subject a lot. Since we last spoke with you last week, there's been a lot of reports about the House versus the NCAA, what college athletics can do to kind of get a better grip on this. With what happened in Knoxville, I think kind of got the ball rolling a little bit faster. But I hate to be the doom and gloom guy, but I've been hearing and talking and reading about this stuff as long as you have. Is it going to get any better? I just don't feel like it is. I hope I'm wrong. But do you feel like this is ever going to get resolved and it's ever going to get any better?
I don't know. It doesn't feel like it either to me, because you hear somebody, and they're now, it's like, well, we don't want the people who are on campus to lose their roster spots, so we're going to keep those people. And I understand that. I do. But at some point, you have to go, hey, look, we got to make a change. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. They're saying, hey, $20.5 million now for the entire athletic department budget. That's fine. I do think there have to be some fundamental changes, and it has to be more than just money and, who's eligible, who's not, all these things. To me, there have to be some more fundamental changes. And I know this won't be popular with people who are inside it from like the student athlete perspective, but I keep hearing real world money. Well, hey, we deserve this money. Well, when you make this money, you also should have to pay bills. And if you want to be a professional athlete, you can't be a professional athlete on one side and still be an amateur on the other side. And that's where we are right now. So there have to, okay, here's your money, but we got to have some protection on the other side too. I talked to football coaches and basketball coaches, and they're like, look, you still don't know what your roster is. Football, you're through the spring. You're done. Football portal doesn't end until Friday night. You still don't know the baseline of your football roster as we sit here almost in May. That's not right. It's not how it's supposed to be. So we got to figure out smaller portal windows and go, hey, here it is. If you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. And so I think some of that. But I think, hey, look, if you make $150,000, then you can pay a power bill. You can pay a house payment or rent, whatever it is. You can do some of that stuff. You know what? You can pay for your scholarship at that point. Somewhere along the line, you have to go, okay, if you want to be a professional athlete and get paid, then you have to start living like it. And I don't know. Something has to happen to change some of these things, because right now it is the best. There's nobody other than, if you're a multimillionaire, billionaire, but nobody in the real world right now lives as well as a student athlete on a college campus, especially a major college campus.
Well, I'm looking at it.
Crazy.
I'm looking at it from a group of five perspective, obviously. And Jason, you mentioned you don't know who your roster is. I know there's some guys at my school that I talk to quite a bit that love it where they are, that love it at Troy, and have been productive and have had wonderful experiences. But they've got one more year of eligibility, and they're going after spring. Just it's their last big chance to make money.
Yep.
And you've gone through spring. The coach has no idea what his roster is going to be. And it's not the second line guys and the third line guys, it's the stars.
Absolutely. Yes. No. And here's the thing. I don't fault the student athlete, Because if somebody's going to offer you that, then you've got to go get it. You know, like, hey, this is that old school saying they got to go, hey, go get your bag. Well, here's your opportunity for somebody who might not make it. I don't fault them. It is the system's fault. And you got to fix the system to not do this, because you're talking about group of 5. Basketball has always been the one where you look and go, those teams have a chance to go compete. I don't know now that and under this current format that we'll ever see a group of 5 team, even in a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 appearance again, because anybody they have that can get you there is going to be gone. I think that's the bad part of this right now.
With all of this being said, and you're talking about changes need to be made, and John agrees there, the money and all that, the $20.5 million and all that, there's a guy at a collective that I know who insists that probably the main issue right now is unrestricted transfer. Does that have to change?
Yes, I think so. I think you have to go, all right, look, here's your contract. You got to give us 2 years. I think you have to have at least somewhat of a system where you go, look, you got to have an idea of when you recruit somebody that they're there for a couple of years. And maybe that's the high school part of it. And transfer portal, you get one move but I don't know. I don't know that anybody looks at this and goes, yeah, it's right for somebody to be at 4 schools in 4 years.
Right.
Right. I don't think anybody would go, yeah, that's right. That's not right. A couple of schools, make a move, figure out what's the right spot for you. Yes. But 4 schools, 5 schools, that's not right in any way possible.
And Jason, what does that do to the academic side? If you're transferring 4 and 5
What
times,
is that?
where are you at? Where are you academically?
Yeah, what is I don't even know what that is anymore, because I haven't heard that term. I mean, like, that used to be something you had to worry about. We're going, hey, was that guy going to be academically eligible? How's it going to impact him? Have you heard the 3-letter APR in how long has it been since you've heard that term?
Who's the last player you've ever seen at Auburn or elsewhere who says, "Oh, that guy flunked out. That guy's on academic suspension"?
Yeah, I don't know that it's even possible. I really don't. And so, yeah, I mean, now you don't even really have to take the SAT or ACT to get into school in a lot of these situations anymore because of COVID and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, it's completely changed, and it's either you're going to be, hey, you're a professional league, or you have to have some semblance of still having the academic side of it. There, I don't think you can blend it.
And it's not only when's the last time you heard a guy failing out of school. When's the last time you heard a guy failing a drug test? I'm not even sure they drug test athletes anymore, because that used to be a big deal. Well, this guy got suspended. Why? Well, word is he didn't pass the drug test. But it's a different age. But I don't know why this keeps dragging on. I know there's a lot of political and bureaucrats and whatnot out there, but gee whiz, I mean, you would think the powers that be have said enough is enough. Yeah,
I think the powers that be don't want to go to court, because every time they do, they default like a cheap suit. So I think they're like, hey, well, we'll just keep riding this thing out, hoping something changes. But yeah, that's they don't want. They know every time they've been challenged, they keep folding, and so I don't know the answer to that one either.
Let's focus specifically on Auburn with all of these issues in the transfer portal, basketball transfer portal. The football transfer portal ends tomorrow. Let's start with basketball. How has Auburn done in relative to are they going to have a lot of new folks? How have they done, Jason?
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job. I do. I think, it's you look at everybody pretty much basketball and you go, we talked to Bruce Pearl Tuesday night when we were doing baseball. He came and sat in with us for an inning, and he said, look, if Tahad Pettiford returns, you're going to have one player back off last year's team. Then he said, never dealt with that before, but that's pretty much life everywhere right now. Like Auburn last year was the exception where you had, 5 or 6 guys back off a roster. Now you look and everybody almost starts over every year. And so I think they've done a good job. They've added some really interesting guys. Elijah Freeman's a D2 transfer that I think was, one of those guys that kind of lost in the shuffle. Was 6'3" kind of when he started his senior year. Now he's a 6'8" guard and can score and do some stuff. But Keyshawn Murphy from Mississippi State, I think, is a good fit. And Deshaun Murray from UCF So I think they got some good pieces still for them, looking for probably another combo guard and maybe another true big to kind of finish it off. But that's provided you get Todd Pettiford back as well.
What about football?
Yeah, football, I think as well. I think it's been it's a different feel in football now. This basketball period is the one window where you go, hey, everything's on the table.
Right.
Football, this is probably not getting an all SEC kind of guy in the spring portal. This is the time where you're looking to add depth at certain places, and you go, hey, we need this guy. For Auburn, they knew they needed a couple of interior defensive linemen. They knew they needed a linebacker, and so they were able to grab those pieces. But then you look and you go, you lose a couple of guys at the cornerback position, even though they weren't projected to be starters, and you go, hey, okay, we need to go find another cornerback to give you some depth. And so they did that, adding a Tulane transfer. Yeah, I think they've done a good job there as well. I think they felt like the pieces were in place, just a couple of spots here or there. And, again, it doesn't end until Friday, but that's just going in the portal. You still have quite a ways to go before your roster might be set.
I was a little surprised, Jason. And of course, maybe something will happen between now and tomorrow when the portal closes, but you just hadn't seen many big fish jumping in the portal this go around, like maybe you do in the one in December.
Yep, I think that's it. I think that's the one where your guys look, because they know it's so difficult to make the move now and to jump in there and hit the ground running and be an impact guy. We saw it last year with Keontae Lambert-Smith was one of those guys, and yeah. I think it's position. I think it's easier for a couple of spots. I think corner's the easier spot. A couple of those spots are easier, maybe the transition, than others. I think more difficult for a quarterback and some of those things. And so that's always the ones that garners the big interest. But, hey, if the right school feels like we're in trouble, we got to go do something, you could see somebody enter with a no contact tag and make a decision pretty quickly here at the last minute. But, yeah, it's been a little quieter, and but it is kind of what you expect in the spring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about baseball this weekend? What we got?
Yeah, we got Mississippi State coming in this weekend, and obviously Mississippi State scuffled a little bit at 6-12, but that's a talented roster. You know what you get there. For Auburn, you're not on the road at one of these top schools. You have it again next week. You got to go to Tennessee next weekend, so you get another top 5 type road trip. So you have to take advantage of your games at home, and so you get Mississippi State this weekend. Just for Auburn, can you start to swing the bat a little bit better? They've continued to play well and win, but they're just not swinging the bat very well. And can you kind of get back that groove? I think that's going to be the big thing this weekend.
I think so too. It's going to be fun. We'll be checking it out. All things Auburn with Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover. Jason, let our listeners know how they can follow you, how they can find you, and get all the information that you guys provide.
Yep. Check us out. Like I said, auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network, and got all the social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, all those things. You can check us out there as well. And also follow me on Twitter at ITATJason. Like I said, busy weekend, draft coming up. We'll start to hit the road next week to start doing some spring evaluation stuff for us with high schools in spring football. So never ends, just a matter of what's up that week.
No kidding. Hey, Jason, thank you so much, my friend. We greatly appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thanks very much. Jason Caldwell, AuburnUndercover.com, joins us here at the Montgomery Regional Airport. Getting better the more you use it.
Very big information that we're passing along today. The airport wanted us to remind all of our viewers and listeners the Star ID. May the 7th is the day. That is a Wednesday. You have got to have a Star ID on your license, or you better bring your passport to get on an airplane at that time. But you need to go ahead and do it. And Barry, I remember when this started before COVID. This is something they wanted to have done before COVID. Everybody have a star on their ID. Basically, it's just another identification purpose when you get on an airplane. And hey, I'm all for it. The tightest security, I think it's great. So, it's not that big of a, it doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but you got to get it done. And there's signage all over the Montgomery Regional Airport about the Star ID. I'm sure you can go on the internet to get more information on it as well. But Wednesday, May the 7th, not only here, any airport in the United States, you got to have it.
Yes, and in a lot of other aspects of getting around in life, you need to have the Star ID as well. Our friend here at the Montgomery Regional Airport, Brittany Jones Dabney.
Yes,
she's always been wonderful to us. She is a star in this airport, and with the staff and with all of the people. We're going to get a chance, hopefully, to talk to her a little bit later on as well. We are at the Montgomery Regional Airport. FlyMGM.com is the website to check out all of the different flights, the travel availabilities, the amenities, and everything. FlyMGM.com and Travel Above. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range, 400 yards in diameter. Capitol Hill offers a fully stocked pro shop with the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill for tee times and more information.
Introducing Budweiser Zero. 0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
1. You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody, to the Montgomery Regional Airport. It is Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Find low fares at iflymgm.com. Okay, Barry, yesterday I'm having lunch with Colin, and I might even do it again today.
Ham sandwich?
Yesterday. I think it was smoked turkey.
Oh,
ham was earlier in the week.
Okay.
So he's big on the draft this week. Been talking about the draft. He's got his own mock draft board, and he's kind of teasing that he might rearrange it a little bit for today. And then as he's on the air, you can see him looking at his phone, and he starts smiling and starts grinning. Basically, one of his sources texted him about some draft information. And I'm thinking, well, wow, what could this all be about? And he's kind of teasing it with J Mac. He's his partner there. And he goes, okay, I'm going to tell you that the team in the number 5 slot is going to move down. Of course, they had these teams listed on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And the team in the number 13 slot is also going to move down. So where I
have the number 5 and the number 13.
Yes. As I looked on the board, I went, oh, look who's at number 5. The Jacksonville Jaguars. Very giddy, very excited,
tease me.
very confident that the Jags are going to move down in the draft tonight because
for what?
Because he says they need more draft picks. They need more early round draft picks. So they're going to make that move with another team that wants to get this particular player, move down, get more draft picks. Well, oh, wow, I wonder if Barry knows that.
I did not.
Jags
Yeah.
moving down. Now, don't know what's going to happen, but that's his prediction. I might squeeze him in for lunch today if I have time for him to see if he's still feeling that way. Said the same thing about the Dolphins. They're going to move down a little bit as well to get more draft picks. But I thought that was interesting, and you're going to see some of those type of I don't want to say shenanigans. Moves, because teams kind of look at the board and go, oh, okay, I want to move down, I want to get more players. Or if there's a particular team that wants to get a particular position player, and maybe they think the team above them might pick them, they'll make a move so they can be assured of getting that player. I think the Indianapolis Colts are one of those teams that are looking for a tight end.
Well, here's what I was thinking. Jacksonville, number 5 pick. We heard from Travis Ryer, who covers the Jacksonville Jaguars along with Alabama in the SEC on YouTube. And he told me, and I didn't have a chance to do it today. It's draft day. I was going to wear my Jaguar stuff. Didn't get a chance to do it. That Trevor Lawrence is not a franchise quarterback. He's not going to get them to the mountaintop. He's not a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, any of those guys. Justin Herbert.
He's a good face for the program, though.
So I was hoping they'd stay at number 5 and get them a running back. I asked Travis specifically about Ashton Jeanty, the guy who ran for 2,600 yards this year for Boise State. And he says, well, he calls Trevor Ryan Tannehill. And Tannehill's had a good career. But Tannehill, when he was at his best, which was above average, he had Derrick Henry to turn around and hand it off to. That's what I was kind of hoping with Ashton Jeanty. I would rather have, and believe me, Etienne is not the answer at running back for the Jags, any of those guys. I would rather them get, and this is just me, one really, really good player who could, I don't know, lead the league in rushing or something, rather than 5 or 6 decent players, 5 or 6 role players.
But do they need, I wonder if they need more quality players in other positions. Is a running back really going to be the difference there for you? Wow, need some flow days.
It's that time of year.
Just a running back, unless you're Derrick Henry, I mean, is this a running back league? I hear that all the time.
I want a great player.
But you got to have other great players to help that player shine. I mean, I'm not sure Derrick Henry would be as good as he was if he didn't have an above average offensive line.
No doubt. There's no question.
So I think you got to have some other players around you. I mean, ask Bo Nix. I think you got to have some other quality players. So I like that move. You just can't fall in love with one player. I think a lot of NFL teams have done that in the past. I think the Saints have been guilty about that over the years. You just can't fall in love with one guy. So I can see that.
Dak Prescott?
Yeah.
Well,
and the thing about golly, the name escapes me. The quarterback at Jackson.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. I've heard, I think we've talked about this. I don't want to say football's not the most important thing in his life, but I think he's got other things in his life that are maybe just as important. That it's not like the end-all, be-all. That football, maybe you got to have that mentality to be a quality quarterback in the NFL, and there's certainly aspects of his game that are really, really good. But I've always wondered, is he 100% committed to it or maybe 98% committed to it?
You have guys like Drew Brees, who I always thought was, he's always busy in the community. I think he was busy with walk-ons, franchises or something. But everybody can't be Tom Brady. Brady 24/7. I mean, he never He never ate a potato chip, all this kind of stuff. Kind of reminds me of Todd Marinovich.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
well, look what happened to him.
He divorced Giselle Bundchen because he wanted to spend a lot of time working on football. Dude, that is commitment, to his craft.
That is commitment.
But I get it. You know, they said the same thing about several other players. Football wasn't as important to Marcus Russell and Purple Drank. There's a lot of things like that.
Yep.
But he's still, I think what Travis is saying is that, look, he's 6'6", 230. Lawrence can, throw the ball a mile and all that kind of stuff. But there's some stuff between the ears that just, I don't know. He can tend to be inaccurate. He can make the wrong reads once in a while, although he's very smart. You can say the same thing about Milroe. He's got every tool you could possibly imagine. So why in the world does he's got the strongest arm in college football last year. So why is he throwing it at receivers' feet? He can get it there, So it could be a lot of stuff.
It was one of these instances, Barry. I'm sitting there eating my lunch, and I look at it this way. I've got a mirror behind my sink, and it reflects off the TV, so I can look at it through the mirror.
Yeah.
But when he started talking about the Jags like that, I turned screen. I went, whoa,
Yeah,
wait a minute. Let me write this down. Barry's got to want to hear this.
Yeah.
I'll give you an update later today if it still feels that way today. All right. When we return, we're heading to Tuscaloosa. The TiderInsider, Rodney Orr, presented exclusively by the Destin Connection Seafood Market. Our good friends there at 3750 Norman Bridge Road bring you the TiderInsider each and every day. And David sent me some copy today about crawfish headquarters, both live and spicy, boiled crawfish. And the price has dropped significantly since the start of last season. No tariff on that crawfish. Live are at $3.50 per pound, spicy $5.95 per pound. Call today to reserve live crawfish for Friday or Saturday at 288-4272. That's 288-4272. And Barry, my brother-in-law, my nephew, had a crawfish boil on Saturday night before Easter.
Right.
Got all that crawfish from David at Destin Connection. It was absolutely phenomenal. You should try it too. The Destin Connection Seafood Market.
We are at the Montgomery Regional Airport. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the river region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody. A couple of minutes past the 8 o'clock hour here on Longshore and McKnight. Remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, check us out at Yellowhammer News, yellowhammernews.com. Our show is broadcast there each and every morning. You can catch a recap in the afternoon. They give a nice write-up about what we did on the program.
Yep.
Also, Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Spotify. What I missed, Barry? I think I covered them all.
I don't think you missed a single one of them.
All right.
That's it. Updating you on a couple of things here in just a moment, but we do know that standing by is the TiderInsider himself. Rodney Orr joins us at TiderInsider.com. Here we are at the Montgomery Regional Airport. Rodney joins us on the show. Good morning to you, Rodney.
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Man, it's going great on a Thursday. Rodney, always enjoy having you on. As we get ready for the NFL draft tonight, we've been talking a lot about it, and we're wondering what names we'll hear from former Alabama players.
Well, I think the big question right now, at least among, on TiderInsider, is will Jalen Milroe go in the first round? And, that's something that's been a real topic. Obviously Tyler Booker's another first round potential pick. Some people think he's the best offensive lineman in this draft. Now, again, that's, you know how that goes. There's a lot of voices out there. And obviously Jihad Campbell, he's considered a surefire first rounder. So, potentially Alabama could have 2 or 3 first round picks. And, we know some of the other guys that Malachi Moore, for example, Tim Smith, defensive lineman, CJ Dupree, the tight end, Robbie Oots. And then there are others, maybe they have 6, 7, 8 guys drafted.
Speaking of Jalen Milroe, reports yesterday coming out that several players on the team were going to transfer if he came back this year. Had you heard that? Are you aware of that? Is that
plausible?
Is it plausible? Look, I mean, you hear these things all the time, things like that, as you guys know. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you what, some of those receivers were thinking. Again, I heard all that stuff. And yes, John and Barry, I heard it for a while before, the season was even over, that there was some discontent there. But, again, do I have any proof of that? No, I don't.
Rodney, the transfer portal for the spring closes tomorrow. Have you been surprised with what's happened in the transfer portal in terms of Alabama with comings and goings, or the lack thereof?
Yeah. Well, I got to thinking about it, John and Barry, and you forget about that first portal where they had some success, obviously. I mean, they got Isaiah Horton. They got Cam Dewberry, the offensive lineman. Of course, Horton's a receiver who they think is going to be in the top 3 of their group. It's going to be really good. They got Kelby Collins, the defensive lineman. They got Nakai Hill-Green at inside backer. They got Cam Calhoun at corner. Those are some of the guys. So they had a really good first portal where they addressed a lot of their needs, I think. And so I really didn't expect them to be that active in this portal. Obviously, now they have one commitment. Like we had reported on Monday that our sources were telling us that West Virginia tight end Jack Samarco was a guy to really keep an eye on. Well, he committed yesterday. He's transferring from West Virginia to Alabama. He has 3 years of eligibility left. He's a 6'6", 255, 260-pound blocker type tight end. Caught only 1 ball last season, I think, for 4 yards. But so they also have another kid visiting this right now as we speak. Troy, you'll be really familiar with this, Barry. Former Troy tight end Brody Dalton. He's here right now. So that's been a need. And I think they would also like to have a backup offensive tackle if they could find one. Now, here's the thing, John and Barry. You said comings and goings, and the goings haven't been very many. Right now, there haven't been any. So Alabama came into this portal with 2 scholarships, and nobody's left yet. There has been some talk about a couple of down-the-line offensive linemen possibly hitting the portal, but that hasn't happened yet. So right now, they only have 2 spots to work with unless they can, something else happens.
Sure. Well, that is interesting. Barry, I don't know if you heard, but Rodney had mentioned about a tight end from West Virginia that committed to Alabama. That's a position that Alabama certainly is in need of. If you could repeat that, Barry, is that a former Troy player or a current?
Oh, yeah.
The tight end from Troy?
Yeah, Brody Dalton.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brody Dalton. Yeah, he's here right now. Barry, maybe you didn't hear me, but he's here right now visiting. And I know that he's considering Cal and North Carolina as well. Again, he's a big kid too. He's 6'6", 250 plus, or 6'5", and so he's a good looking player. And so we'll see. That could be two tight ends that they really need for. You need those guys, and I think that's been a top priority for them.
I think it was a key that you just mentioned also, Rodney. Tomorrow's the closes. But if you would talk about, Willie, I guess, how important it is that nobody's left. I mean, how big is that for Kalen DeVore?
Well, I think it kind of reinforces his philosophy that we're going to build this program. We're going to evaluate high school kids. We're going to recruit them. We're going to bring them into our program. We're going to develop them, and then we're going to retain them. It's almost a little bit like Dabo. Maybe we mentioned that last week on the show, but it's a little bit like Dabo. It's building a culture where, you're a part of this program. You feel a part of this program, and you're content here. And I think that's one thing that he really wants. Now, obviously, these guys want to be paid too, right? I mean, this is the NIL era. So, I mean, that's part of it. But it's not always about being the highest paid guy. Caden Proctor has said many times, John and Barry, I could have gone back to Iowa for more money. Think about that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of guys on the team that, I know another player that got an offer, frankly, from an SEC school, not Auburn, because I know you have a lot of Auburn listeners. I don't want to imply that. But from another school in the SEC, got a $2 million guarantee for 2 years to transfer that he turned down. So, there's a lot of opportunities out there that they've had. Alabama's not going to overpay. That's the bottom line.
Let me ask you this, shifting back really quickly to the NFL draft, because I thought it was kind of a compelling question that was thrown out there by one of your subscribers on the open forum line at TiderInsider.com. Bama players who did much better in the NFL than you thought. And the first one everybody brings up is Jalen Hurts, but also, golly, I can think of a bunch of. Mark McMillan played a long time in the NFL. There's a lot of guys out there, Lucy.
Well, Barry, there was one of the Good brothers that played for the Colts, and I never knew he played at Alabama.
He played for
Chris Good at cornerback. Chris Good at corner. He was really good too. Yeah.
Anybody else? Bart Starr, of course, but that was way, way, way back when. Anybody else kind of jump out at you? I thought that was Roman Harper.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Roman Harper had a great career. Had a tremendous career from right there in Prattville. Man, they stump me on my own website sometimes, John and Barry. I'm kind of stumped on that.
They stump us quite a bit too.
We get stumped a bit too.
Yeah. Just trying to think. And I do think it's fair to say, Jalen Hurts, but you know what? And people compare Jalen Milroe to Hurts, in this draft and everything. But I don't know if there's going to be anybody quite as fortunate to get with an organization and a program that he's got in Philadelphia that's got all that talent that they have. And so he has been very fortunate. But, just trying to think. No, I mean, I really off the top of my head, I'm not sure that I will say this, though. Not that I'm surprised, but think about the Hall of Fame career that Derrick Henry has had. I'm not saying that it's a surprise, but think about this, John and Barry. When he came out of high school, although he was the national leader all time rushing yards, there were many people, and I'm talking about really qualified talent evaluators, who said this guy will never play a down of running back on the college level. And he ran for 2,219 yards one year in 2015. 28 touchdowns. So, and then he has carried that on to the NFL, and he's running toward the Hall of Fame right now. So, not necessarily, you can't predict that kind of greatness, is what I'm trying to say.
No, you can't. And he's an interesting one. We were talking about Derrick Henry earlier this week, Rodney, and one of the comments that Nick Saban made to him, he's getting on him at practice one day about not picking up a block or
not being in pass protection. He says, nobody ever told me about pass protection in high school. All they did was turn around and hand me the ball.
Yeah. Hey, and the thing about he played at Yulee, Florida. It's a really small school, although they did play against good competition, and so he was challenged a little bit, but yeah, he was a phenom. I mean, it's unbelievable, but anyway, yeah, he's had a great career, obviously.
I think they said a similar thing about Sean Alexander. Coach Stallings said something about him not being able to block or something, and I think it was Ray Mellick who said block. I mean, that's like saying a secretariat couldn't pull a cart.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned Sean, and we kind of forget about him. I mean, he was one of the, greats of all time, obviously. I mean, he was the guy that anytime he touched the ball, you stood up. I mean, you were expecting something to happen.
Rodney, what are you hearing on the basketball front? I mean, we were talking about it earlier in Auburn's case. I think the fans have just got to get used to the roster is going to be completely different each and every year. In basketball, more than any sport, it's going to be a lot of turnover.
Yeah, it is. You're talking about TiderInsider.com. I saw somebody, John and Barry, put out on TiderInsider.com the starting five for next year. The starting five for next year. Not one of them were in the program this past season.
That?
Complete, total. But here's the topper. This is a better. Now, I'm not saying this. I'm talking about this is what the poster said. Here's the starting five, and it's better than last year. So you're talking about the expectations that Nate Oates has created here. But they've got some good transfers already in, obviously. A lot of people excited about Noah Williamson, the 7-footer that's come in, Bo Bowen, 6'10" from Florida State, and then Jaleel Bethia, obviously a 6'5" guy that's can load it up. So they're doing really well. I know they have a kid here right now, Keaton Bristow from Tarleton State. I think he was a freshman of the year in the WAC. He was averaged 11 points a game. He's about a 6'8", 190-pound, small forward, whatever you want to call him, wing type player. They're still in the running for some other guys. It's not out of the possibility. I spoke to someone last night. I spoke to someone I really trust last night, and they said it's not out of the realm of possibility that Darius Philon could come back, could come out of that NBA draft. So we'll see. That would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be a big one.
Be huge. Rylan Griffin, the former player that transferred to Kansas, is, he's still been in the mix as well. Darius Adams is a kid from UConn that was a top 30 signee in this past class that's got his release. He's a 6'5", 6'6" guard who can load it up. Alabama's in there with several other schools. So yeah, they're certainly in the mix there. And Cedric Coward is another one. I want to mention him. Out of transfer from Washington State. Most people think it's Alabama and Duke. Now again, he's a 6'5", 6'6" type guy. They got a lot of those, but he's a guy that's highly touted as well, and Alabama's in the mix there.
I don't know if you see Nick Saban from time to time, but this came up earlier in the week as well. Article in Forbes magazine about what he's doing in the automobile world. Some talk about him wanting to be a part owner of some professional franchises in the state of Tennessee. Does he spend a lot of time in Tuscaloosa? I know he's got a home in Jupiter, Florida. He's got a place up at Lake Burton. I can't imagine him being in Tuscaloosa all that much.
Well, according to things I hear occasionally. Now, again, I certainly don't track him, can't track him, have no way of doing that. But I've heard from time to time that he spends a lot of time down in Jupiter. They spend a lot of time. Now obviously they're occasionally here. And I can tell you this. obviously every Saturday morning in the fall, he's on game day.
Right.
And we have seen him on game day, at Michigan or wherever, a great distance. And when that show ends at 11, at 1:30, he's walking into Bryant-Denny Stadium in the press box. And one of the media people said, "Coach, you're already back?" And he goes, "Heck, as soon as that show's over, I hit the plane. I'm on the way back. I got to get to the game." So he does have, a lot of interest, obviously, in being here at the games and all of that. So he makes that every Saturday, if, unless barring something else. But so, yeah. But I did see the article. I thought it was extremely interesting. And John and Barry, I have to admit to you, my first thought reading that article is, I don't know what it is to be an AD and how you think, but to me, if I'm Greg Byrne, I'm like calling Saban up, and this partner of his, Joe Agrist, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes.
I'm calling them up and I'm saying, guys, Michigan's got a guy named Larry Ellison, who's a mega billionaire, and he's kind of leading the charge with their NIL. Well, what kind of opportunities do we have? You know what I mean? Again, I don't know that much about how all that operates, but it would seem to me in this NIL era that who knows? Maybe that's something you could tap into.
And you always got to be thinking, Rodney. That's the salesman side of it. I love it, man.
Yeah.
How can I tap into that?
I wouldn't imagine that.
That's the way I'm thinking anyway. I may be wrong.
No.
I think it's interesting you're talking about Saban. Maybe he's in Ann Arbor. The show's over. Gets on a plane straight to Tuscaloosa for a 1:30 game and everything. I can visualize that. What I can't visualize is Saban sitting there in traffic between the Tuscaloosa airport and Bryant-Denny, sitting there thinking, "Come on, I don't think that's necessarily an issue for him either."
No, I would not think so either. I don't know if he gets on in one of those vans with the trustees that get driven from the airport to the stadium on game day. But
get an escort.
It's amazing how many people are escorted into Bryant-Denny Stadium.
It
is amazing.
It really is. There are some good stories about Nick Saban going from the football complex to his home. I can tell you that.
I would imagine so. This is all great stuff.
And Herb Street does it because he leaves game day and flies to whatever game they're doing.
Yeah, brings his dog.
It can certainly be done.
Well, Rodney, great stuff as always. We really appreciate it. Love the website. And again, love the community aspect of it with all of your subscribers as well. How can somebody become a member of that community?
Right. It's TiderInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. And you can get instant access with your credit card. If you prefer, there is an address there to send a check. Gives you all our premium information, but also, as you mentioned, our all sports forum. We had I thought it was great, discussion last night on the quarterbacks. Ty Simpson, is he the guy?
Yeah.
We had a lot of that, and it turned into comparing Alabama's quarterback room to Auburn's and this kind of thing. But it was a real interesting discussion right there on our all sports forum, our community there, as you mentioned, Barry. And again, it's only $48 a year, TiderInsider.com.
Now, is that the same for international subscribers, or will there be a tariff on that? I just bring that up since the president's coming to Tuscaloosa next week.
I got to tell you this, John and Barry. I got to tell you this real quick before we go.
All
right. And we have subscribers all over, believe it or not. We had one in Russia. We had one in Germany, Russia. We had one in we had several in Canada. Just all over the world.
And that's the 51st state.
We have several in Auburn.
I did have one. Yeah, we had one in Auburn too. Several. But there was one of our subscribers from Canada did cancel his membership because he's not going to support anything in the United States at this time. And so that I have been impacted.
It sounds like you have. Well, when they become the 51st state, he'll rejoin. Whenever they start 11-0 heading into he's back.
He's back. Always great stuff. TiderInsider.com. Rodney Orr. It's always gold when we get a chance to visit with you. Thank you so much for the time.
Okay, guys, I greatly appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you, buddy. Great stuff from Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively by our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market, your crawfish headquarters, both live and spicy boiled crawfish. And the prices have dropped, Barry. No tariffs on the crawfish.
Just since the beginning of the crawfish season, they have dropped. That's why David Scott and those guys over there are our go-to for crawfish or anything like that. They've got so many connections. They always get the best wholesale, the best prices, and they can pass those on to you.
Very live crawfish starting at just $3.50 per pound, and spicy boiled are just $5.95 per pound. Call today to reserve your crawfish for this weekend at 288-4272. That's 288-4272. My nephew and brother-in-law did it last weekend. It was awesome. Enjoyed some crawfish from the Destin Connection. Chris, it was 23 minutes, not 22.
Well, yeah, he had to tell the little story at the very end about losing a subscriber in Canada.
Wait a minute. So this Canadian thinks he's going to get over. I'm not taking it. I'm dropping my, that's like people that used to call us on the radio and said, I'm sick of you two guys. I'm through. I'm done. I'm never listening again.
Yeah.
A week later, he's calling back.
And what a dumb reason.
Yeah.
Because it's American. Are you telling me that anybody, I don't know, and I've got many Canadian friends. Are you telling me that there's anybody in Canada living right now who doesn't have something in their possession or buy something on a weekly basis from America?
Yeah, come on.
Come on. I find that difficult to believe.
You drinking that Coca-Cola up there, aren't you? Diet Coke or whatever. Where'd you get that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. You are listening to us live and watching us live from the Montgomery Regional Airport. Are we having Canadian listeners that are boycotting us because we got that big American flag right there, Right.
You can make connections at 4 airports out of MGM that can get you to Canada.
That's right.
You can get to Canada from Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, Washington, Reagan.
So don't boycott us because we have connections to Canada here at the Montgomery Regional Airport. More coming up about that in just a moment. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Ford announces employee pricing on every new 24 and most new 25 Fords, and only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, up to $5,000 below employee pricing, plus no payments for 90 days. From America, for America, at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, home of America's best-selling truck for nearly 50 years in a row, the F-150, with hundreds to choose from. The Ford Escape, the Ford Edge, and the Ford Bronco, all priced at thousands below invoice. And pack up the crew in a Ford Expedition or a Ford Explorer for the beach, the lake, or the big game. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
Introducing Budweiser Zero.
That Montgomery.
0% alcohol, 0 grams of sugar. Full Budweiser flavor. A refreshing alcohol-free brew that tastes like the real thing. Budweiser Zero. 0 alcohol, 0 compromise.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
All right, back at the Montgomery Regional Airport. We're out here each and every month and let you know all about the great services and the convenience of flying out of MGM with connections to Atlanta, Charlotte, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Washington's Reagan International Airports that can get you to points all over the globe. It's all about convenience. It's all about economical travel, and you get it right here at the Montgomery Regional Airport. I was talking to Brittany Jones-Dabney earlier this week, Barry, and she was telling me about all the new low fares coming out for the summer travel season. So you can take advantage of that as well. And of course, the Real ID, we're really emphasizing that here today because Wednesday, May the 7th, to fly anywhere in the United States, you got to have a Real ID or a passport. But just go ahead and get your Real ID. You don't be lugging your passport around for domestic travel, do you? Come on.
Every once in a while, like when I'm on a bus or something like that, and I'm on a bus a lot, I'll look at like Instagram and they'll have like, I'm just making this up, an Instagram account called Karen's Getting Served or police traffic stops.
Okay.
And it's amazing. And I'm sensitive to it because my son is a law enforcement officer. How many people, they get pulled over and they're trying to, well, I'm a sovereign citizen. I don't have to have a driver's license to drive, because I'm not driving, I'm traveling and trying to get no, I want to speak to your supervisor before I roll down my window and stuff like that. And it never works.
No.
And it never should work. Always be courteous whenever you get pulled over. They've got a job to do and You're not going to get any success with that with your, coming in here or anywhere really without a star ID as of this time next week and say, well, no, I'm waiting on mine. I got a piece of paper that says that mine is in the mail. No, there ain't no such thing. That ain't happening. You either have it or you don't. To use the words of the Phantom, and I'll paraphrase, either you cover or you don't. Either you're pregnant or you're not. Either you have your star ID next week or you do not. There is nothing, and it's nothing personal. No. They love serving you here at the Montgomery Regional Airport, but it will be a federal requirement. In other words, the federal government is demanding that you have a star ID, not the very nice lady at the Delta KLM counter at the Montgomery Regional Airport.
The feds say you got to do it.
That's right.
The feds say you got to do it.
You got to do it. Yeah.
So, and while you're at it, go ahead and get a TSA pre-check too. It's very convenient.
John has been singing those praises for a long time. Speaking of the feds, we can combine two topics here from the Montgomery Regional Airport. Speaking of the federal government, and we were talking earlier, and we have been talking for a long time, anticipating what they call the House settlement, which needs to happen. The person who is the boss of all of this, who is dictating every bit of it now, the future of college athletics doesn't rest in the hands of Tony Petitti of the Big Ten or Greg Sankey of the SEC or even John Longshore of Longshore and McKnight. The name to remember it's a lady. Her name is Claudia Wilken. She is a federal judge in Northern California. I don't know how these things work, but she's the one in charge of hearing the presentation for this settlement to the House.
How'd they pick her?
I don't know. How did it devolve under her? I don't know. Her name's Claudia Wilken. Oh. And we thought something would happen this week and everything, but right now, as of yesterday afternoon, Claudia Wilken has sent back the attorney's arguments in their settlement of 3 antitrust cases involving the NCAA. She will not approve that House settlement unless changes are made to the new roster limits. She has sent back an ultimatum. Unless you change the new roster limits that the attorneys for the NCAA are presenting, then this House settlement will not go through. She's given attorneys 14 days to implement a grandfather clause in terms of roster settlements. John and I have been talking a lot. We don't want to get too deep into it because, quite frankly, it's boring to you. We don't want to lose the audience. But it's not all about the $20.5 million that the attorneys are presenting as a settlement, that each school will have a $20.5 million limit to NIL across all of their student athletes, not just football, not just basketball. It's not just that, but also that schools will implement roster limits. And in fact, getting rid of walk-ons and stuff like that. Basically, what she's saying is that's not good enough. She wants them to grandfather in the existing rosters. So nobody, what she wants is that nobody who is currently on a roster on a Division I athletic team after this settlement will get cut loose. She does not want that.
Can we not live with that for what, 4 years till they all get, kind of cycle through? I've told you, my wife's cousin's son is a walk-on at Auburn. I wouldn't want to
say that again.
My wife's cousin's son who got stuck at 31 Flavors last night.
I heard it's pretty serious.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's kind of my nephew too.
There's some buddies of mine. Hey, there we go. Hey, this is awesome. Coach Josh Lauer, volleyball coach. Julia, Coach Musenfector. I'm telling you, Troy and the Montgomery Regional Airport is big time. Let's see if we can get. Let's see. Well, they're checking in right now. We'll let you guys go, Julia.
So what my point being, Barry?
Yep.
Let's just wash it out. Let's go. I was grandfather. When they changed the drinking age to 21,
yeah,
I got grandfathered in because it was 19 when I was coming up. So I turned 19, and then they changed it to 21. But since I'd already, past the age when it was 19, I could still buy liquor at 20, and everybody else had to buy it at 21.
Yep.
I can live with that. So can we not live with grandfathering in all these walk-ons?
Taking maybe a little financial hit.
I mean, come on.
For the better good.
I mean, let's quit dragging our feet. And let's get this thing done. It's just, I don't know. I've never wanted to really run for political office. And if I do, I don't think I will. But if I did, I'm a first day. Look, this is what I did.
Yeah.
It's all on the table.
If you can't live with it, fine.
You're
I
not
get
gonna
it.
Dig up any dirt on me. Here's what I did. Right here, right now. Move on. But I just, for the life of it. All right. Chris, I know you've been waiting. I'm not dragging my feet here. I'm not trying to avoid a bad situation. But it is time to reveal the Phantom's daily dog. And yesterday, it's kind of like a roller coaster. Good, bad.
Hey, well, let's do this real quick. John, give up your microphone for just a moment and get our guy, Josh Lauer.
There we go.
Yeah. Josh Lauer, jump in here with us.
Good. Barry, what are we doing here this morning?
I don't know. We are going on the fly. Josh Lauer is the volleyball coach at Troy University. Troy, of course, the official airport for Troy Athletics is the Montgomery Regional Airport. You're here with Coach Brian Musenfector, Julia Brooks, legendary volleyball player.
Barry, we got our whole staff here. We're heading out recruiting to bring some great athletes back to Troy so they can enjoy our beautiful campus, the wonderful academics here at Troy. And we fly in and out of Montgomery all the time because it's the easiest, best airport there is.
Yeah, a short drive down from Troy to get up here, get back. You and of course, Coach Musenfector all have been recruiting a lot. Coming out of Montgomery Regional Airport, also after a long, successful recruiting stretch, it's always good to come back and and not have to travel back from Atlanta and all that.
100%. The staff here is great. In and out really, really quick. We talk all the time. There's no better place to travel in and out of than here.
There you go. The official airport of Troy Athletics. Josh, appreciate you jumping in on the fly with us here.
Anytime, Barry.
It's great to see you. They're checking in right now. Hey, Julia. Hey, Brian. How are you doing? Great to see you all. Thanks so much. There you go. Josh Lauer joins us here. What a good sport. Appreciate that. We'll be back in just a moment with more. It's
that's awesome.
It is the Montgomery Regional Airport, Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Well,
maybe not. I was replying to an email here today. Brittany got caught. Barry, you were in a traffic jam today.
Oh, it was. It was not good.
Yeah.
It was a tough one.
Well, we got the wrong mic on.
No, let's see.
Turn it off accidentally?
Yep. Let's see.
Maybe I need to turn it off based on what the Phantom did yesterday.
That's what we were getting to.
Whoa,
great to see Coach
man.
Fowle. And I'm telling you, it's no real shock. We see Troy coaches. Of course, Troy teams traveled out of here. The football team charters out of here. We've traveled out of here for every other sport. But when they're recruiting, I see them here all the time.
Sure.
Coach Lauer and Coach Brian Musenfector and Julia Brooks, who's one of the all-time great volleyball players at Troy. Here as well. We're at the Montgomery Regional Airport. Let's go to break. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Awards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
All right, man, grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitchers' duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Get some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
Okay, I've delayed it long enough. I got to come clean about the Phantom last night. Let me go ahead. I want to look and see what today's card. I got that pulled up.
Okay.
All right. So last night, Barry, we had the Golden State Warriors at Houston. Warriors on the road, catching 3.5. I hate to use the phrase "did not matter," but it did not matter.
Didn't matter.
It did not matter. Because Golden State goes down last night, 109-94. That series is tied up, one game apiece. I thought the Golden State Warriors could go back to San Francisco. I think they've moved to San Francisco.
Yes, they are. Yeah, it's San Francisco.
Yeah. Up 2-0. That's not the case. We're moving on. You know, Barry, in this game, you can't dwell on the past. You got to look forward. And I have mentioned it's been kind of a roller coaster week. Win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. We're looking to get on a streak. I feel like a Major League Baseball team sometimes. They go on streaks like this too. But I'm not going to sit here and give you a bunch of excuses. That's not what the listeners want to hear.
No.
That's not what the viewers want to see. They want winners.
They want winners, no excuses whatsoever.
Winner, chicken dinner. All right. Tonight, Barry, there are 3 games in the association. And I'm telling you, they've been fun. I watched bits and pieces of every game last night. Orlando, Boston, which that was a closer game than people thought. Boston only wins by 9, 109-100. Miami at Cleveland. Cleveland beats them 121-112 at home. Watch out for the Cleveland. I'm telling you, nobody heard about them during the regular season.
Nobody. They're incredible. Yeah. They've had a terrific year.
They really have. And kind of like OKC. And then, of course, I mentioned Golden State and Houston. All right, tonight.
Right.
We got a triple header again.
Starting at 6.
TNT. Is the porta potty still on the set for Shaq?
Boy, I hope not, because I saw that he went into it the other night, and man,
that looks
Shaq
like
is 7'1", 320 pounds. I bet he can wreck a
Yeah, I
porta
bet he
potty.
can. But is that a tall porta potty?
No, I mean, he's scrunching.
Wow.
They're not springing for a custom-made porta potty just to pull a visual joke on inside the NBA or whatever.
All right, Barry, this was a great game earlier this week. Detroit was at New York. Now the game's in Detroit tonight. Man, watch out for the Pistons. They played well.
Yeah.
Also, OKC's at Memphis tonight, 8:30 on TNT. And then Denver at the Clippers is the nightcap at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. I got something on the Clippers in just a moment.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right. That they were in San Diego at one point in time?
Yeah, they were.
They were.
That's not what I was going to say,
Okay.
but that is all true.
Hey, we're going to Memphis tonight. We are going to the Memphis Grizzlies, who are playing probably the best team in the NBA, Oklahoma City. The Thunder is leading the series 2-0. 2-0 as they go into Memphis. The Grizzlies are catching double digits here, 10.5. They're not winning the game, Barry, but they're keeping it under 10.5 tonight. Grizzlies at home. Maybe they win to make it a 2-1 series, but not so confident they can win it, but they can keep it within 10.5 tonight at the FedEx Forum. Going with the Grizzlies tonight, it is the sandwich game in the NBA tonight, meaning that's the meat of the NBA schedule tonight.
Oh, it's not the
bread.
I got it.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Okay.
All right. Tomorrow.
If you don't like it, you can tell me. I'm a big boy.
That's a good one. I never thought of. Oh, okay. So there's that. We'll update it tomorrow, and we'll have another Daily Dog tomorrow from Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram on Cobbs Ford Road in Prattville tomorrow. Clippers.
Let me know. Yeah, what you got?
The Clippers will host the Nuggets tonight. John's already brought that up. The very first playoff game in the history of that $1 billion Intuit Dome. The Clippers don't share the Staples Center with the Lakers anymore. They have their own thing. Steve Ballmer is a multi-billionaire, and he bought the Clippers, and he's built it to his own specifications. They will, again, first ever playoff game tonight, they will unleash its unique home court advantage tonight. If you're watching it, take a look at this. This needs to happen.
Okay.
In Neville Arena, at Coleman Coliseum, $2 billion arena. He included an unusually steep section. I mean, it does behind one of the baskets.
Okay.
Normally, it kind of goes slowly or slow. This one is up. It's an unusually steep section right behind one of the baskets, featuring 51 rows of seats, 51 rows reserved only for pre-vetted, pre-identified super fans.
Oh, wow.
One intent of the wall was to be the league's best home court advantage, distracting opponents at the free throw line. That was the deal this year during the regular season. You remember at Coleman Coliseum, you had that one kid with the fat head of himself,
Yeah.
That kid was like a multimedia star for a long time.
Yeah, he was. My favorite was the guy that put the big poster of the girl in the bikini.
Yeah, Or I thought it was a little bit out of line. Somebody had got a picture of one of the players' mamas and put it up there and all that. No, you don't do that. But to distract. When you're shooting free throws, you'll see them get, those wavy things that car dealerships use to try to get, they'll get those wavy sticks and wave around there. Duke does really good job. I think Auburn does a really good job of that. Alabama's background is too far back from the baskets.
Yep.
And it's also pretty well sloped.
Yeah.
It kind of loses a little bit there. But they're getting their best fans, their most energetic fans, and they're placing them back inside. Now, I don't know how in the second half or in the fourth quarter which basket the opposing team is going to be shooting. I was
wondering that too.
I don't know how that works, but opponents shooting free throws this year at the Intuit Dome had the league's worst free throw shooting percentage.
Well, there you have it. It's worth it.
They would opponents on the other end, on the non-fan end, shooting 76%. Facing the wall is like 71%, which is a big difference in the NBA.
Looks like
that is the second largest gap this century. But by the way, the league average in the NBA is shooting 76% from the line.
All right.
But at this place, it's 73% for the opposition. That's the second largest gap in the history of the NBA. So it works. You watch that tonight.
Yeah, I do want to
when
see
the Clippers host the Nuggets.
Because Barry, as I watch basketball, whether it's college or NBA, I've always wondered about the areas behind the goal. To me, there's a lot of wasted space there. There's an area, then there's some seats. I would put those seats there again as close to the basket as I could get it, similar to seats on the floor, but I'd do it right behind the baskets as well. If you need some area for media, we've talked about that as well.
Boy, here we go.
And photographers or whatever, put them somewhere else. But I would have the fans as close to the goals as I could get them. And I like this idea. I think that's great. To me, that's an area of a basketball arena that's kind of underutilized. I think the space could be used a lot better than it is in collegiate and NBA arenas. So I think that's pretty cool.
One other thing here before we go to break here from the Montgomery Regional Airport, our buddy Jason Jones. I misspoke earlier, and I knew it as soon as I did it because we were talking about the Star ID.
Yeah.
And, it being a federal guideline. I was thinking the House settlement that we're talking about is not in front of the House of Representatives. There is a swimmer. Again, the two names to remember in case you want to look smart to your friends. One of them is Claudia Wilkin. She is the judge who's judging on all this. And again, she's sending it back until they can work out a grandfather clause so kids who are currently on scholarship don't lose their scholarships because of this. I get this. They'll gradually work it in. They got 14 days to do it, which means it'll drag on even longer.
No kidding.
But then the other one is somebody named Grant House. Grant House is a swimmer. Is a swimmer at Arizona State. And he was the one that brought the original lawsuit, one of the lawsuits they're Georgia, but they're calling it the House lawsuit because his was the first that was filed. So it's the House lawsuit. I was talking about the House of Representatives because I was thinking about the Star ID. But yeah, it is the House settlement. It's not in front of the House of Representatives. It's because of the young man's name is House. And he's the one that brought the class action lawsuit against the NCAA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people. Jason, thank you for
appreciate that
for bringing that up to us. Robbie's up today. Glad to see that. Ty very active on the River Region Straw chat line. Jason down in Troy as well. Chris the Bammer, obviously. Tobias, Theotis, also on the chat line today. Big time. Ty, always there as well. We appreciate that. So, hey, Dr. B checked in today.
Dr. B.
Yeah. Dr. B, I went to see Dr. B the other day. Hooked me up, got my eyes looking great. So really, man, looking good today on the chat line. If we missed anybody, we didn't mean to miss you. We just can't recognize everybody.
That's right. Yep. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap it up from the Montgomery Regional Airport. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Here we are at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. Our friend, everybody's friend, Mary Ann is with us. Mary Ann, April is a special month, even more special at Marguerite's.
Definitely. Okay, so it's the first of the month, Barry. What's that birthstone?
It's a diamond, right?
Yes. Winner. It's easy to remember because with April comes baseball season, baseball diamond. We've got Diamond Month here at Marguerite's, and it is a great time. We are having Diamond Month to really emphasize all the great diamonds we have in stock. We're doing crazy specials on natural as well as lab created diamonds with solitaire specials starting out at, this is crazy to believe, $500 for a lab created diamond solitaire. That's insane. Like a 1 carat inner ring. We have diamond studs, diamond tennis necklaces, tennis bracelets. Everything with our diamonds are going to be unmatched, unparalleled prices. And loose stones, again, maybe because it is baseball season and you're watching all of those games that you need to give a little extra something, or that girlfriend that you've been dating for a while needs to get an engagement ring. Well, now is definitely the time to do it because our loose diamonds are on special.
Yeah, if you are thinking about an engagement, here's a pro tip. That may be Marianne's favorite thing to do at Marguerite's, is to help the guys make sure their odds are good with a beautiful diamond for that loved one that they're going to pop the question to, right?
Most definitely. It's great to help. We love helping you. The hardest thing you have to do is walk through the door. Next thing, I mean, honestly, you just say, I need to get engaged, or between the two of us or the rest of these listeners, I can tell when a guy walks through. They kind of just have that look and they're just walking slow and looking around. And I'm like, need an engagement ring? And they just shake their head. I take it from there. Just get some ideas. White gold, yellow gold, diamonds. We have them. Guys, it's not hard. Honestly, just walk through the door. We can help you.
Yeah, it's not intimidating at all. They have people who would love to help, especially in Diamond Month in April in Marguerite. Yes. Marianne, as always, it's so great to talk with you. What are the hours of operation?
Sure. We're open 7 days a week in the Pepper Tree Shopping Center, 10 to 5:30 Monday through Friday, 10 to 5 on Saturday, and noon to 5 on Sunday.
Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry, Pepper Tree Center, next to Chappie's Deli, 8163 Vaughn Road in Montgomery. Thanks very much, Marianne. Great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
All right, welcome back in. A couple of minutes to the top of the hour. The Victoryland 777 topic wheel locked and loaded. Before we get to it, I'm going to be interested to see about Jackson Dart. Robbie brings him up. I've heard a lot of talk about him. People seem to be lukewarm on Jackson Dart. Might have a little bit more to prove, but really interested to see where he ends up. One of the places I heard, Barry, was the Saints. Haven't we had enough former Ole Miss quarterbacks at the Saints?
Well, Robbie said this. I totally disagree on your assessment of Jackson Dart. He threw for more than 10,000 yards in his career, and he had 3 10-win seasons at Ole Miss. He is more advanced than Milroe. Got that. Understand that.
Did I have an assessment about Jackson Dart?
I was talking about him yesterday. You know, he could be really, really good. He could be Matt Corral. Yeah. You don't know. Many NFL draft experts say Dart is one of the best quarterbacks in this year's draft. I have no idea what you're basing your opinion on. He spent time with the Mannings. Kid Finn does great with the Mannings. Kiffin does great with quarterbacks. Okay.
I heard one of the draft pundits say that he didn't perform very well against quality, top-notch opposition.
Yeah. He could be good. I'm not totally sold on him. Being one of the best quarterbacks in this year's draft, is that like being one of the prettiest girls in that one sorority? You know, that I don't know.
Then you go back 40 years later. You go, ooh.
Next year's quarterback draft is going to be solid, which is one reason why I think Milroe went now rather than next year. He's got a better chance. So, just take that. Okay, a couple of minutes here. Here we go.
Let's go. Let's get the Dreamland 777, Victoryland 777 topic wheel loaded. We'll try to get to a couple of topics today, and if we don't, if we can't get them all in, we'll leave them for tomorrow. So, Gurn, you can load that thing up, and let's spin it. And let's see what we got here. Round and round it goes. Where it stopped. No, I should have been a carny. Barry.
He says that every time, though.
Sounds like a walk-off homer. You want to guess what game this was? You'll know more than I will.
The Mets. The Mets have the best record in Major League Baseball.
Really?
Yep. They do. And
hey, Barry, another head-first slide. That's 2 days in a row.
Yep. The Mets are all that. They walked off the Phillies in extra innings. They have won 7 games in a row. They are 18-7. That's the best record in Major League Baseball. They are 12-1 at Citi Field so far. That's the best 13-game home start in franchise history. I was telling you before the season started, watch out for the Phillies in the East. It may not be the Braves or maybe the Phillies. The Mets Certainly have upgraded in the offseason with Juan Soto, and they are all that right now. Congratulations.
Do you like a head first slide or a traditional slide?
I'm a traditional slide
Really?
guy.
I like the head first.
Well, I wouldn't mind it if I could get the infielder's assurance that they ain't going to step on my fingers, you know.
That's the chance.
Glove and mitts don't help.
Yeah,
okay.
that's the chance. All right, let's spin it
One
again,
more.
Gurn. Let's see
One
what we got here. We'll save the rest for tomorrow, and we'll spin the Victoryland 7 topic wheel. Exit 22 off I-85, Shorter, Alabama. Not confusion. Contusion.
As opposed to the great Genesis song, This Is a Land of Contusion.
Yeah.
Golden State leaves with a pelvis contusion.
So I wasn't going to bring that up, Barry, in the reason we didn't cover the spread last night. But did this affect it? Probably so, but I'm not harping on it.
I know it would affect me. A bruise to the pelvic area for Jimmy Butler.
Do you put ice on it?
You dang right you do. I don't care about shrinking. I mean, I'm putting the ice on it.
Yeah.
Took a hard fall.
Look, yeah, you see he's midair in that picture. That doesn't look good.
He got up
looking at him like this isn't going to be good.
He made, before he left, with my eyes are watering, with a pelvic contusion.
I'm squirming a little bit.
Before he left with a pelvic contusion, Jimmy Butler shot 2 free throws.
That
made one,
and
then they helped him off.
Yeah, that's gutting it out.
Salute.
But I'm not going to harp on the fact that happened that we didn't cover.
No.
That's just part of the game. It's a roll of the dice. That's what you get. All right, Barry, as we wrap up here at the Montgomery Regional Airport, I want to remind you, check out low fares at flymgm.com for convenience, just economical and just peace of mind. Fly MGM to start your travels. The Real ID, make sure you get that taken care of by Wednesday, May the 7th.
Right.
So you'll be able to fly not only from MGM, but any airport. You got to have it.
If you miss some of the information that we've given you about the Montgomery Regional Airport or anything, 2 things you can do. Just rewatch the program.
Yes, sir.
You can do that.
You can.
YouTube, you can re-listen to it on Spotify and all that kind of stuff. Rewatch it. You can find out more just to supplement all the information and all this stuff we've talked about just by going to the website. It's flymgm.com.
Okay, tomorrow we're at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville, Alabama, where Price sells cars. Employee pricing, going to tell you all about it from the showroom there at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. Until then, man, have a great day and fly MGM.
Yep, he's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight from the Montgomery Regional Airport. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.